Let's play a couple.
Stones to stone him.
Divine coming is what he's talking about.
What do you mean divine coming? What
because
does that
in the very next chapter, that blind man that he healed said, I am ego eimi as well.
See
that Greek term, ego eimi, say I'm smart too. That Greek word, ego eimi, in the very next chapter, John 9:1, when Christ healed that blind man, he makes the same.
Okay, the argument is John 8:58. Jesus says, I am, proving he's God. He's responding saying, ego eimi. He said, ego eimi. It's ego eimi. Doesn't mean Jesus is God, because the blind man said, ego eimi as well. Now listen, we're going to hear this at least 2 times. Let's play this again. I'm going to read this comment. This genius over here, because he thinks he knows the Bible.
Statement.
He's talking about
can't
ego.
No, he does not.
You cannot.
There is nobody that Jesus healed who claimed to be the great I am who I am. No way. That is so dishonest. That's scary.
I want you to hear they're talking past each other. Cliff doesn't understand his argument, and Tazaryach is butchering John 8:58. But listen, if you guys can find the full debate, send me the link, because I already started a playlist. Tazaryach versus Cliff. I'm going to go through it like I went through Tazaryach with Inspiring Philosophy.
Standard.
And the Jewish people picked up stones to stone him.
Divine coming is what he's talking about.
What do you mean divine coming? What does that mean?
Because in the very next chapter, that blind man that he healed said, I am ego eimi as well. That Greek term, ego eimi, say I'm smart too. That Greek word, ego eimi, in the very next chapter, John 9:1, when Christ healed that blind man, he makes the same statement.
He's talking about ego.
No, he does not.
You cannot.
There is nobody that Jesus healed who claimed to be the great I am who I am. No way. That is so dishonest. That's scary.
Standard.
One more time. Cliff was quoting John 8:58. Cliff was quoting John 8:58, where Jesus says, before everyone was born, I am. He's saying that's Jesus referring to his coming. But in John 9:9, the blind man also said, ego eimi. Not ego eimi, do. It's not lego my ego, Tazaryach. You whack, baby. Ego eimi. Well, the blind man said ego eimi. So Cliff is saying, no one ever said that the great I am. That's a lie. That's dishonest. See, he didn't understand Tazaryach's point. And it's not a new point. Argument that anti-Trinitarians have been using from the beginning, but I'll explain it. But here one more time.
And the Jewish people picked up stones to stone him.
Divine coming is what he's talking about.
What do you mean divine coming? What does that mean?
Because in the very next chapter, that blind man that he healed said, I am ego eimi as well. That Greek term, ego eimi, say I'm smart too. That Greek word, ego eimi, in the very next chapter, John 9:1, when Christ healed that blind man, he makes the same statement.
He's talking about
can't
ego.
No, he does not.
You cannot.
There is nobody that Jesus healed who claimed to be the great I am who I am. No way. That is so dishonest. That's scary.
Standard.
Okay. Now you heard the argument, right? Now look at this genius over here. This genius over here who thinks he knows the Bible. Let me put it on screen. We're going to go into it. Look at his genius, what he says. Jesus' use of I am expresses divinely granted authority and identity, not that he is the Father. Do you see the straw man? Number one, we're not modalists. We don't think Jesus is the Father. But again, these Einsteins, these geniuses, only show why the church was right to try to prohibit people from having Bibles and taking them home. Number one, that would not have been possible prior to the printing press. That wasn't possible. Number two, too expensive. But number three, because you see the fruit of making the Bible accessible so that everyone and his or her grandmother can now take a Bible and read the Bible and then think he or she is intelligent enough to explain it. This is the fruit of Protestantism. Look at his genius here. You see it? Jesus of I am expresses divinely granted authority and identity, not that he's the Father. Just as the healed blind man says, I am he. That was the point, John 9:9. Without claiming divinity. Jesus as I am identifies him as Messiah. You see that? The authorized saving agent, through whom Yahweh works. Another Black Hebrew Israelite. Because that's how they pronounce the name. Yahweh, Yahawasha, Yahusha. They pronounce it variously. I've heard some people say Yahawasha, Yahusha. Proverbs 8:22-23 confirms Yahweh alone existed before creation time. Now, with wisdom as his pre-creation purpose. If wisdom is his pre-creation purpose, that means wisdom is uncreated. It exists before creation, exists with God. And since this was the passage that many early Christians applied to Christ, that means Christ is a pre-created divine person, in other words, uncreated. But they don't believe that. Tazaryach, now you need to hear this. Not all Black Hebrew Israelites have the same beliefs. You need to hear this. Not all Black Hebrew Israelites have the same beliefs. There are Black Hebrew Israelites who will say Jesus is a second God. They'll even say there are two gods uncreated. And some will say the Holy Spirit is a force. Others will say he's an angel. And yet others will say Jesus is just a man and that he's not born of a virgin. Okay, I want you to understand this. Tazaryach's group thinks that Jesus, sorry, hold on, was just a man and he was not born of a virgin. The particular group that Tazaryach heads, these Black Hebrew Israelites, think Jesus was just a man and Joseph sired him and he wasn't born of the Virgin Mary. Go watch the debate between him and William. William and him had a debate on William's channel on the virgin birth. So even among the Black Hebrew Israelites, there is no uniform teaching. But you see the genius here? This guy here, who's one of his followers? Jesus' use of I am expressly divinely granted authority, and then not that he's the Father. And then supposedly the blind man said, I am as well, ego eimi, or ego eimi. Let go of my ego, Tazaryach, you whack. But here's what's even sillier. Look at what he said, ego waffle. Watch here. You cooked them, my brother. Keep biting them, Cap. Tazaryach was great because he's got a personality. He'd be a great comedian. He would actually make it as a comedian. Stand-up comedian, but always laying down on his back. Keep biting them, Cap. Been wanting Buddy to get cooked for so long. Yeah, buddy. Did they know Yeshua was literally a Hebrew Israelite? Even Google will say it. If Jesus wanted us to think he was God, he would have said it, made it clear. Not one scripture in the entire Bible says that, except when it does. Yahawashah. Yahusha. Okay. These guys are great, man. Okay, you ready now for me to go into the rebuttal? What is the argument that he was making? And it's not new to him. Let's go through this argument. Yahusha. Yahawashah. Yahawashah. Yahusha. You wonder why my throat is wearing out. I'm old. Okay, Yahusha. Yahawashah. Yahawashah. La 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 la. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Sha-na-na-na-na. All right, right here. By the way, Tazaryach and William are going to be debating this week on the deity of Christ on Cameron channel. Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. All right. What about John 9:9? Others were saying, it is this man. Others were saying, no, but he is like him. That one was saying, I am he. Now, let's get different translations. Let me add verse 8 here, because that one's kind of rough translation. Let's go to NIV. Watch here. When Jesus healed the blind man, his neighbors, John 9:8-9, and those who had formerly seen him begging asked, isn't this the same man who used to sit and beg? Some claimed that he was. Others said, no, he only looks like him. But he himself insisted, I'm the man. Oh, my goodness. NIV is even worse than I thought. It's like, man, 5 million translations. What do you go with? Let's go here. Yahawashah, man. Look at this one. I am the one. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to be here all day trying to figure out the right translation. Sha-la-la-la-la. Oh, he uses the King James. I forgot. Tazaryach, the legomaniac, who's whack, right, follows the King James Version. Let's go to the King James Version. Okay? They prefer the King James Version. All right. The neighbors, therefore, and they which before had seen him, that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Okay. Now I'm going to break down the argument for you, but we're going to go through the rebuttal. John 8:58. Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Okay, what's the argument? Well, let me show you. Yahusha, Yahawasha, sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, Yahawasha, Yahusha. Man, I wish they had a Netflix series on Tazaryach's group. Man, that would be hilarious. You bodied them, Captain Tazaryach. That's where it's at. Right? All right. Now, here's the Greek. This is what he's trying to tell you. Notice here it says, ego, eimi. That's what he said, right? Ego, eimi. Ego, eimi. But he said, eimi. See, I can drop some knowledge too. You see what I'm saying, Cliff? I know my stuff. I can drop some knowledge. I know the Greek. It's all Greek to me. Ego, eimi. Ego, eimi, right? Ego, eimi. Ego, eimi. Ego, eimi. Now, what's the connection with John 9:9? What's the connection with John 9:9? Here's the connection. If you look at the Greek of John 9:9, it's the same Greek word. Shalalala, shalalala, moly. Remember that Eddie Murphy stand-up comedy when we watched it when we were not sanctified? He said that, the Italians would call him moly because you're Mullen John. Moly. Okay, so what's the connection? Here's the connection, guys. The blind man, when he says, I am, John records his words in Greek as ego eimi. He kept saying, ikinos elegin hoti ego eimi. Trying to pronounce it like you Greek, modern Greek. Because the Erasmian way this is how the Erasmian way would say it. Those who are taught Greek by the white man, the white devil, like the way the Erasmus would pronounce it. Homo ois auto astin ekainos elege hatai ego eimi. That's how they're taught it. But if you have someone who speaks Greek, they don't pronounce it that way. Right? Homius aftu estin. Trying to pronounce like you guys would, right? So it'd be homius aftu estin, ikinus, iligin, oti ego eimi. All right, anyway, same words right here. You see it? He said, ego eimi. The blind man said, yeah, ego eimi, I am. Jesus said, ego eimi. Obviously, the blind man wasn't saying, I am God. You understand the argument, the objection? When the blind man said, ego eimi, was he saying, I'm God? No. So why do you Christians think that when Jesus says, ego eimi, Jesus was claiming to be God? You understand their objection? If you understand their objection, I can go into the rebuttal. If you understand their objection, I can go into the rebuttal. Both Jesus and the blind man said, I am. Ego eimi. Exactly, Lucas. That's their argument. Now, you guys can see how stupid that argument is. You know why? And I got to blame Christians as well, because Christians are poorly catechized and educated, don't know how to exegete or defend their position. The words ego eimi do not prove in of themselves that Christ claimed to be God. Ego eimi is simply saying I am. Hey, are you Sam? Ego eimi. The words in of themselves are not indicative of deity. Doesn't mean you're God. It's the way you use them. So yes, it's true. Yes, it's true that when the blind man said ego eimi, he's simply saying, yeah, I'm the blind man. Because they're saying, is he him? Maybe. Yeah, ego eimi. It's me. You get it? Learn how not to do apologetics. Learn how not to exegete. In the beginning, good to see you, brother. And learn the proper way of doing exegesis and apologetics. The argument isn't that Jesus said, I am. Now, knowing Cliffe, because he's not trained in apologetics, he probably made the mistake by saying, well, in Exodus 3:14, God says, I am, and Jesus says, I am. I don't know. When I go watch the full video, because Mango Bango, the guy with the golden earring, because he thinks he's from 300, when the Persian delegate was sent to Leonidas, right? And then Leonidas kicked him into the pit, right?